Congratulations on your fourth term. Chair of the Joint Committee on Telecom, Utilities, and Energy. Welcome, Senator Dan.
Thank you, Malcolm. Before I say anything else, I'm going to ask people to do two things. One, if everybody could take one step in off the road. And two, how about a round of applause and a thanks for our Capitol security who are here to make sure everything goes fine as well. Thank you. It is an absolutely beautiful day to be here with all of you. You know, it was about, I want to say 10 months, 11 months, maybe even fully a year ago, when I started talking to my staff about why I wanted to file this bill. And I was thinking at that time, first and foremost, of something that I said when I ran for the first time for the Senate nearly 7 years ago. At that point, I said that the best ideas do not come from this building. They don't come from the State House. They come from listening. We as elected officials are at our best when we listen to our constituents, when we watch what they are already doing, because 9 times out of 10, they are far ahead of us. And I watched and I listened then to the rumblings on college campuses, to conversations that were ongoing in churches, to conversations that were going on in city and town halls across Massachusetts and across this country. And I have to admit, I was inspired. And I thought at that point just how great that feeling was. Because I think, like many of you, no matter how much progress we have made here at the state level, no matter how much progress we have made locally, no matter how much progress we have made regionally on climate change, we know full well that the debate nationally, the debate in Washington, has been nothing short of depressing. Yeah. I know, I've been there. I've been there with all of you, right? Where you put your head down and say, how can we be having a debate about whether or not climate change is even happening in 2013, in 2012, in 2011, in 2010? How could we still be having that debate?
How could we be having that debate?
But I also think, like many of you, I refuse to let that frustration be the only emotion that I have. I refuse to be told that there isn't more that we can do at the local level to push our national leaders, to bear our generational responsibility, to be able to say in 25 and 50 years that on this day here in Massachusetts, we did everything in our power to tackle climate change. I refuse to believe that. And so I filed a bill. And it's kind of funny. Filing a bill is like saying you're going to throw a party. I filed a bill and then I thought, well, maybe some people will show up at the party. Maybe some of my colleagues will actually want to join in. And thankfully, many of them have. And I know some of them and their staffs are here. Senator Karen Spilk is here. I know Senator Catherine Clark's staff is here. I know many of my colleagues in the Senate and in the House have expressed interest, mostly thanks to all of you reaching out to them and making your voice heard. And so we filed that bill, and we have our hearing. And over the time, while I have thought about the bill and how far we've come and how far we have to go, I thought to myself, what is the best argument for why we ought to divest our state pension funds from fossil fuels? And like many of you who are here today, and by the way, how about another round of applause for the guys on the front? Like many of you who are here today, I came to this issue because I care deeply about climate change. And we could absolutely make and will make a strong moral argument for why we shouldn't invest future pension funds in fossil fuels. But I will also tell you that I don't think that is the most persuasive argument. I will tell you I don't think that is the best argument. I think the best argument for why we ought to divest our pension funds from fossil fuels, the best argument for why S1225 should be on the governor's desk by the end of this session and signed into law, the best argument is the financial and economic argument. And let me stop before I make that and say this. Some of you may know this, many of you probably don't. My mom receives a state pension. Nearly 10 years ago, my father passed away. At that moment, the only thing that gave us any sense of security, any sense of stability, was that pension for my mother. I would never file a bill that I thought threatened that security or that stability for state workers, retirees, or their families. I would never do that. I don't think anyone standing here would support a bill that did that. The threat to our pension fund is not divesting from fossil fuels. The threat to our pension fund is continuing to rely on the false profits and the proceeds from investing in the economy of yesterday that's destroying our environment. We have made a concerted effort here in Massachusetts, and we have a lot to be proud of about what we have done to tackle climate change. We've invested in clean energy. We've invested in energy efficiency. We've taken the most bold conservation steps in the nation. But all of those efforts, on the one hand, are being canceled out on the other hand as we continue to invest our pension funds in fossil fuels. We can get more out of the taxpayer dollars that we're spending. We can get more out of the ratepayer dollars that we're spending if we stop propping up the fossil fuel industry with our pension funds. We can do that.